Electrolux announced last week its intention to raise its prices of consumer appliances in Europe by between 5 and 7%. Although the news is an important one for the market, it doesn't come as a surprise. Electrolux already increased its prices in North America at the beginning of 2011, and so did Whirlpool at the same time. The important thing about this is to understand what's going to happen in the market after this price increase will take place. Electrolux announced its intention last week, but the price increase will actually be implemented in October 2011. So it's a bit early to say whether this will actually pass across to consumers or not, and whether this will take effect at the end of 2011 already, or that instead will affect 2012. The reason why Electrolux and Whirlpool decided to increase the prices is in response to the rising cost of raw materials, in particular steel, copper and plastic. This obviously didn't happen overnight, and in response to rising operating costs and a sluggish recovery of both North American and Western European market, both companies embarked in a major restructuring. So they're trying to kind of increase and improve their profitability by closing down the production plants in high cost markets and trying to relocate production to low-cost market. One example is Electrolux that last year relocated part of its European production in Ukraine. Obviously, when we think about the consequences in the market, that obviously depends on what the other players will do. At the moment, only Electrolux and Whirlpool announced their intention, and it's yet to be seen whether other players will follow. However, companies such as, for example, LG or Samsung or even Electrolux that have their production concentrated into low-cost markets might be more advantaged and probably will be able to hold to their existing price tags for much longer. So that would have, I think, in 2012, a potential impact on the market shares of both companies that could see their volume shares eroded as a consequence. What's important to say is that obviously this all depends on also how retailers will respond. Will they pass across this price increase entirely to consumers, or will they be able to actually absorb part of this increase?
With the prospects of rising prices being pushed through by manufacturers, consumer electronics and appliance retailers will have to think about two main questions: whether the consumers in their markets will be able to deal with the price rises, or if not, whether they themselves will be able to deal with absorbing the costs pushed onto them by the manufacturers. In terms of the consumers, we're seeing in Western Europe and even North America that consumers are reluctant to go out and spend on things that are not essential. At the moment, consumer appliances are in that difficult stage where the product cycle isn't encouraging new innovations that consumers feel like they have to go out and purchase. Therefore, at that point, new price rises are going to be a difficult thing for consumers to swallow. And at the moment, we're seeing a number of retailers admit to the fact that consumers are stopped spending, especially in relation to consumer electronics and consumer appliances. In the UK, over the last few weeks, we have had results out from the likes of Tesco, Argos, and Best Buy, who have seen a strong decrease in spending from consumers on electronics products overall. Argos themselves said that sales had fallen by something like 25% in only 1 year. And if a retailer like Tesco is complaining that electronics and appliance sales are difficult, then you can see just how awful the spending for UK consumers are in relation to these product areas.
On the other hand, we have to remember that the distribution channel for consumer appliances obviously is different. Consumers might kind of switch from kind of more traditional store-based retailers to internet retailers. So we could see maybe consumers favoring non-store retailing options, and this is mainly due to the fact that internet retailers can offer appliances at up to 20% cheaper prices.
The only bright spots that we're seeing in terms of Western European consumer electronics and appliance retailers from the reported companies at the moment are those in the Nordic regions. So Dixons said that sales in Denmark, Sweden, Norway had remained strong. And therefore, in some of these areas, consumers may be able to absorb the cost of higher prices. However, it's not a picture that we're seeing across the whole of the region, and therefore it's going to be a very difficult thing for manufacturers to push through onto retailers, and indeed a very, very difficult thing for retailers then to push on to consumers themselves.
Assuming that an average 5% retail price increase would actually affect the market, by using our econometric forecast scenario model, we actually estimate that sales of major appliances will experience a double dip. That's really important because obviously that, although it's a hypothetical scenario, because it's based on the assumption that this 5% increase will pass across by all major appliances players directly to consumers, so it's yet to be seen whether that will be the case, that actually underlines the fragility of the recovery at the moment in Western Europe. So although there are obviously positive indicators coming up from post-recession trends, obviously the recovery is still fragile, and although manufacturers are trying to stimulate an early replacement by launching new products and investing in innovation, it's yet to be seen whether consumers will be willing to spend more for a more expensive, even if more energy efficient, for example, product in times of economic trouble.